When we first get the diagnosis, I was just filled with such fear, and you want so much the best for your children, and you want them to be happy, and whatever that looks like, and when you get that diagnosis, Bodie was nonverbal. He didn't make eye contact. He used to sit in his crib at night and bang his head for hours against his crib. And then he would scream even more because the banging hurt his head so bad. And in those moments, you just say, I don't know what the future looks like.
When you first hear about autism, it sounds like there's almost a constriction on what the potential is for your children. And we wanted to work with Bodie and SARRC to push through that, to say every milestone that he wants to achieve, we're going to help him get there.
Right when he turned 2, he started in the community school here, and he started in the toddler classroom. It is a wonderful academic-based environment where there's 6 autism spectrum disorder children and 6 typical peer models in the class with him.
With children with autism, they often struggle to do this observational learning, so trying to imitate what a peer is doing. So the job of the teacher who's leading that is to make these activities what we call contingent. Expect and wait for the child to engage in the right behavior before continuing on.
The program has been extremely successful. We have our children with autism are learning to talk, they're learning to socially interact, and they're learning how to engage appropriately in play behaviors, either on their own or with their typically developing peers.
He was nonverbal when he started, so then they also will pull him out and work one-on-one, and that's really how they got him to talk.
She wasn't speaking. She was kind of making sounds, but not a lot of sounds at all. She wouldn't point at things. She wouldn't bring you a toy to play with you.
At the beginning, we didn't know if she was hungry, if she was sick, if something was going on, because we couldn't understand what she was trying to communicate to us. But through the PEC system, it's just going to completely open up the communication dialogue between her and us.
In our new home-based program, we're able to send therapists into the home to work directly with the kids. We train the parents so that they're able to implement PRT, or pivotal response treatment, directly with their kids. And we can provide a really high-intensity supervised model in which each one of our therapists participates in 3 hours every single week of clinical supervision on the work that they're doing with their kids.
But that first time that she picked up that cup card and walked over to us and we handed her that cup, and the look on her face was so exciting, like, this is what I've been saying for 4 years, was I want my cup, and you guys finally figured it out. So that was probably the best day, and it just keeps getting better.
I think what's so exciting about the community school is that it's showing a huge return on that initial investment. And that is that, yes, it's creating this new program for children with autism that is innovative, it is cutting edge, and it is producing great outcomes. But it's also having a return on our entire community.
Well, in my over 10 years of being involved with SARRC, it's expanded tremendously. I mean, as far as from, they had some initial programs, but now there's programs in every facet of a child's life, up until teenage and adult years. Not only do they help the individual child when you first get diagnosed, and then in the teenage years as far as community service and vocational, and now they're working into residential. So as Tyler grows up and through the system, we know that his whole lifespan is being supported by SARRC.
I think it's more what she wants now, and she's just gonna kind of guide that path, and we're gonna push a little harder than maybe we should, but we'll push and just see where it goes and see how far she can run.
Autism Community Works is a peer mentor program where our teens that come to us from the local high schools are working with our teens with autism spectrum disorders. And they're learning vocational skills, social skills, and they're working in a variety of different locations in the valley.
They're learning not just about our plants in the desert, which is what we're all about, but they're learning about socialization with other children. They're learning about working with our visitors, and what a great skill that is. Everybody on staff loves this program.
The exposure the teens get to a workplace environment, the exposure employees that I work with, and exposure to the SARRC teens, the ability to be able to increase their social interaction with not only people who work side by side with them, but the public as well.
You give them a chore to do, the only limitation I think that you put on them is limitations you put on them yourself. We haven't given any of them an opportunity to do something that they haven't been able to be successful in completion. So, you know, for us to see them feel good about themselves helps us too.
He went from a kid that was isolated and didn't have friends and really didn't have much of a positive identity about himself to, after doing some of these programs, working in the library, doing community good works here in the garden, he's like a big shot. He has this huge resume now of activities that he's been involved in. He feels like he can have a future. He has a place at the table now, and I think he does. He has so much better of a shot. And so that's what this program's meant to us.
We also have an employment program, and we have an entrepreneurial center where we're starting SARRC-owned businesses, where we're making soup, we have our own special brand of coffee, Beneficial Beans, and we have a Garden Works program where we're training adults on sustainable landscaping, water harvesting, and gardening.
We do a combination of classwork and on-the-job training, and we're like learning stuff about soil, what makes up soil, tools, what tools to use, and learning different types of gardening, xeriscaping, which is desert gardening, hydroponics, and also we've been working with communities such as other places, urban gardens, Roosevelt Garden.
We have parents tell us all the time, where's my child going to live? Is my child going to be able to work? Is my child going to be able to go to college? And you know, the all-important question, what's going to happen when I'm no longer here to support my child? And these parents now see that their teens or young adults can make a difference, they can be independent, and it's changed their world.